Now today is a super exciting day because today is light bar and LED day. That means I get to install the light bars and then do the LEDs. So I'm going to get started with the light bars first. I'm going to do the interior visor bar first, just because that circuit board's a little bit longer and I need to know how long that goes so I know where to put the rooftop light bar because I have to drill a hole for that. Obviously I can't drill a hole through the interior visor light bar, so I just wanted to be sure I installed the interior one first before I do the exterior one. So let's go ahead and get started. So the LEDs and the light bars are now glued and secured in place. So next I'm going to take the LED wires, I'm going to solder them to the circuit board, that way they'll all flash in a pattern. There were a few things with the wiring that I had to look into a little bit more and figure out how it's going to work, but I think I have a really good plan. So starting with the front of the truck, I had to glue in those LEDs, and I unfortunately had to drop the engine compartment plastic piece. It was modeled really well, it was really detailed, I didn't want to lose that. But with the way the LEDs were glued in there, I needed extra space to run the wiring and to just have the LEDs in there. They're already getting a little bent with the frame as it is, so I didn't want to pop them out by putting in the engine compartment. The lighting from the front of the vehicle is running from the front, all in one strand, being kept together with heat shrink and some electrical tape. For the visor light bar, The power wiring and the switch wiring are both going to be routed over the top of the frame of the truck. The power will be dropped down into the third row compartment where all of the circuit board and the battery connections will be made. The switch is going to go further and actually go up and around the back and then pop out the bottom. In that third row area where the battery connections and the circuit board will live, I've drilled 4 different holes into that green plastic piece. There's 1 hole on each side of it. This lets in lights from the brake lights and all of the side LED lighting. The holes on the top, one of them lets in all of the light from the front of the vehicle, and the other hole that is empty now will have switch wires running out of it to the rear bumper. All the switches for this vehicle, including the on-off and the 4 different pattern switches that I have, live on the back side of the bumper. This will keep them hidden, as well as a nice place to keep them safe. The wiring for the rooftop light bar is super easy to run. It'll run over that frame just like the visor light bar. The 2 pattern switches will skip just like the switch for the interior visor bar, and the power switch will drop into that third row to be attached to the battery connections. Now before all the wiring gets soldered together, I wanted to be sure to get the seats in place, therefore the wiring for the LEDs would be in a good spot where I know that it wouldn't cause any issues when I have to reinstall those seats. On the seats you'll see that I added a laptop. I super glued the laptop mount down, then I also super glued the laptop bottom to the laptop mount, therefore it won't fall apart. I also believe this adds a little bit of a police vibe to this truck because they have an MDT in there now. And now that the seats are mostly secure with wiring going to be soldered over top, I wanted to make sure I got in all of the external parts that came with the truck, like the exhaust and a few antenna pieces. That way I won't have to take the truck apart and remove the seats to get access to install these parts again. So those were some of the adjustments I had to make for lighting this vehicle. Up next is soldering all of them, and then we'll have some working lights. So you just watched all the LEDs and the light bars getting soldered in. So next, I can put all of the underbody back on, I can detach all the parts and make sure the truck is all put back together, because I hopefully won't need to get back into it. I have a few more external parts that I'm going to put on, but those are completely external. There's no internal parts that I need to glue in at all. Also, I'm really excited to show you what the lights look like when they're turned on, but I'm not going to show you yet. I'm going to hold that off until the final video releasing what the truck looks like in the end. So hold tight for that. I'm sorry, but I just want to keep it a surprise. So let's go ahead and get this truck put back together. Alright, so I just got the truck put all back together now. Wow, was putting the steering wheel attachment to the tires really hard. It's almost impossible to get it slid into the slot that's attached to the tires to make the steering wheel inside turn the tires. And then the steering wheel wouldn't turn, it was just getting caught, and it was an entire mess. That was a challenge. Anyways, it is all put back together now. and it is great. The lighting looks great. Sorry, I can't show you yet. Anyways, it's all put back together now. It looks great. It's a complete truck and I'm so happy with it. I'm so ready to move on to decals, and that's our next episode, is doing decals, getting those cut, applying them. And I have a few tiny little external pieces to put on, maybe a few antennas. I'll figure out exactly what I want. Then I need to put on the license plate decals, and we're set. Then we have a final model. Can't wait to show you guys. See you next time.